Silence! Joseph Alba, the accused, and Philip Smith, the victim. May your representatives please come forward. You may begin.
My client, Philip Smith here, is a victim of violence. He states to only have been doing his job, sir. Meanwhile, Alba had retaliated against the detainment that had been put upon him.
My client was accused of violence against an officer of the law when he was in the act of defending himself.
Continue.
My client states that after a late evening shift, he had been heading home with a brown bag full of groceries, with no intention whatsoever to interact with Sir Smith. He is abruptly stopped by the officer who had been patrolling the store. After being ridiculed, Sir Alba decided to leave immediately. From then on, he was berated and abused. To defend himself, he simply pushed the...
He didn't just attack me. He pushed me against the wall and tried to...
Silence! You may only speak when asked to by the court. Sincerest apologies. You may continue.
As my client was saying, he pushed the officer back in self-defense. However, instead of diffusing the situation, Officer Smith escalated it. He used excessive force against an unarmed civilian who posed no threat.
Your Honor, with all due respect, my client, Officer Smith, deserves justice just as much as Mr. Alba. We cannot allow false accusations to tarnish the reputation of a dedicated law enforcement officer who puts his life on the line every day to save people.
As I was saying, it's imperative to note the systematic corruption within the police department, Your Honor. Officer Smith has a history of misconduct and abuse of power, yet he remains employed without any consequences. This case is just not about my client's actions. It's about the failure of the justice system to hold accountable to those who sworn to protect and serve.
Counselor, please stick to the facts of the case. Okay, that is enough.
Of course, Your Honor. My apologies. To conclude, my client acted out of fear for his safety and in response to the excessive aggression displayed by Officer Smith. We urge the court to consider the circumstances and deliver a just verdict. I conclude this case.
Your Honor, this is preposterous! My client, Mr. Smith, was simply carrying out his duty to protect the community. Mr. Alba's actions were not those of an innocent civilian, but of a violent criminal. It's outrageous that we're even considering the idea that Officer Smith provoked this altercation. The evidence clearly shows that Mr. Alba was the aggressor here, and the justice demands that he be held accountable for his actions.
As per decision of the court, Joseph Alba is guilty of assaulting a police officer. He will be sentenced to 5 years of imprisonment. Officer Philip Smith is commended for his service and bravery in the face of danger.